What is up, guys? Welcome back. I am the Six Machine and we are here with some more Warhammer content. So today Games Workshop released on their Warhammer Community page the preview for the Deathwatch, the Chamber Militant New Deathwatch rules. So that is rules for all of you players that are like hunting down Xenos and using your new tricks to keep the Imperium safe. So this is very exciting because Deathwatch have not had a supplement before. They are like the Dark Angels, the Space Wolves, and the Blood Angels, getting some new extended rules based on the Space Marine Codex. So let's take a look and see what tricks the Deathwatch will be getting. So first of all, like all the other Marine chapters, Deathwatch will be getting Doctrines. As with the first founding chapters and their successors, the Deathwatch have access to the Devastator, Tactical, and Assault Doctrines. However, they get a new rule that gives them incredible flexibility around when each of these doctrines is active. This is huge in my opinion. At the moment, normal Space Marine chapters have to go from Devastator to Tactical to Assault. And they can delay it a little bit, so you can do Tactical for 2 turns, but basically you have to follow that set order. Deathwatch, on the other hand, can choose to start any round in whatever doctrine they want. And there are some restrictions, so you can only do Devastator once, you can only do Tactical twice, and you can do Assault 3 times. But if you think you can get a first turn charge off based on how the layout of the board is, what units you've got in it, and where your enemy has deployed, you could opt to potentially go for Assault Doctrine in turn 1 and get that turn 1 charge off and get the benefit of that extra AP on your melee weapons. Conversely, if you feel like being in Tactical would be better than Devastator, or you feel like saving Devastator Doctrine would be better for one of the later turns in the game, you can choose when you're going to take advantage so that it best suits the army that you've put together. I think it's a huge buff that doesn't seem like it would be as powerful as it can be if you use it well, so I think this is a huge little bonus for the Deathwatch. In addition, much like they currently have, they can make kill teams of different units, so you can combine Intercessors and Hellblasters and Inceptors and Aggressors and that sort of thing to form a squad, and you get unique bonus rules based on what units you have in the squad. This is being expanded, so rules for 4 different types of kill teams, including 2 brand new ones. So you can have a sneaky one, which is called the Spectrus kill team. So it lets you have Infiltrators, Incursors, and Reavers, and when you have those in your unit, you get some of the abilities that they bring. So if you have Infiltrators, enemy units cannot be set up within 12. The multi-spectrum array lets you ignore any hit modifiers or ballistic skill modifiers, and then Terror Troops is obviously the enemy units within 3 inches. You subtract 2 from their leadership. Now, the Reavers one I don't think is all that great, but Omni Scramblers, having a single Infiltrator in your squad just to bring that buff could be huge. If you put that into several squads, that means you get that benefit of the Omni Scrambler, and you can make the squad more adaptable, but also it has that huge reinforcement denial area, and you don't have to like really go all in on Infiltrators if you don't want to still get that huge buff, because that Omni Scrambler buff is probably one of the most underrated and powerful in the game. The article also notes that there are a number of units that from the Codex Space Marines are going to be added into the Deathwatch. This is huge, and this is really interesting to see for the Deathwatch. It's going to be great that Deathwatch players can now add in all these cool units to their army, so you can get the Judiciars, the Invictors, the Outriders, Suppressors, ATVs, Heavy Intercessors, Incursors, Gladiators. They're very much making the Deathwatch in line with Codex Space Marines and bringing pretty much all of the units that a normal Space Marine player could use to the Deathwatch, which is something that fans have been asking for a long while, and was something of an annoyance that there were some units in some squads that Deathwatch players just inexplicably couldn't bring. But it looks like they're being brought in line now, which is going to make Deathwatch armies a lot more viable and have a lot more variety and choice, I think, which is only a good thing. The article then goes on to tactics, so we go into the stratagems that are coming with the supplement, which will help us slay the filthy Xenos that stand before you. So the first one that they show you is Prognosticating Volley, which is 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Deathwatch unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack against an Eldari unit, you can ignore any or all hit, roll, and ballistic skill modifiers for that attack. This was huge back in 8th when you could stack those hit modifiers. So an Eldar Flyer, which was of the Eandon, or was it the, I can't remember which one it was. There was an Eldar craft world that gave you -1 to hit on everything. So that stacked with an Eldar flyer, stacked with their stratagem that gave you an additional -1 to hit, meant that you might be hitting on 6s or 5s as a Space Marine or even as a Custodian, and the ability to ignore those modifiers was huge. Now that in 9th modifiers are stacked to -1, this has still got its use, but I don't think it's quite as game-changing or impactful as it would have been back in 8th. They also have the Overkill stratagem, which is against Necron units, and it means that when opponents make their reanimation protocol rolls, they have to subtract from the roll. I think reanimation protocol is currently 5 up, and the only way to buff it is with the incredibly bad reanimator unit, so most people don't take them. So this is going to be making Necrons only reanimate on a 6, which is quite a big buff when you're shooting against them, especially with the number of reanimation rolls that Necrons can make nowadays, that they're doing them after every single set of attacks. So this could be very huge if you need to get through that squad of Necron warriors. You could play this and really make sure that you get through all of them before they have a chance to stand up again. Up next we have the Relics of the Vaults. The Blackweave Shroud is the one they show, which adds 1 to the toughness characteristic of the bearer. And also, each time the bearer loses a wound as a result of a mortal wound, you roll a d6 on a 4-up, the wound is not lost. +1 toughness is nice. You give it to a normal Space Marine character, that bumps up to toughness 5, which is a fairly nice breakpoint. But conversely, if you give it to a Gravis captain, that gets him up to toughness 6, which again is quite nice. It's less useful overall. Toughness 5 is a bigger breakpoint than toughness 6, but if you do need that extra toughness for whatever reason, that could be a good person to put the Blackweave Shroud on. And then obviously you have the 4+ save against mortal wounds, which again isn't going to come into play all the time, but when you do suffer mortal wounds from smite or an exploding vehicle and you can save it on a 4-up, the number of times I wish I could save my character when they take d6 mortal wounds from an exploding tank next to them, I would definitely like to have this Blackweave Shroud when that situation takes place. And then finally in this article they go into the new psychic discipline which Deathwatch are getting, called Xenopurge. So despite its name, the powers are just as effective against non-Xenos. They show off 1 Neural Void, which is a malediction, has a warp charge of 7, and if manifested, you select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of this psyker, and until the start of your next psychic phase, you subtract 1 from the attack's characteristics of models in the unit, and each time a charge is declared, only the closest unit from your army can be selected. This is really big. I mean, on its own, -1 to attacks for characters in a unit can make a big difference. It basically negates Marines getting their charge bonuses or being charged bonuses. That is potentially huge against armies like Orcs or armies that have huge hordes of models that rely on their weight of attacks to really get through armor saves. So that by itself I think would be a reasonably good psychic power. But the fact that you also have the bonus that they can only charge the closest unit to them, that's huge. If you have good screening, whether that be a small squad of intercessors or a squad of scouts or something that's particularly scary in melee that the opponent is trying to just make their way past, the fact that they can't just circumvent that, they have to charge the unit that's closest to them, means that you really limit their options. And if they're trying to use a charge to slingshot their way up the board, you're going to make it that much harder for them to do that. So that was it. This wasn't quite as extensive as the Space Wolves preview from yesterday, but the new Deathwatch Codex Supplement is available to pre-order from Saturday. Hopefully there will be some more rules over the next couple of days as they showcase more of the things that are coming up for pre-order this weekend. But let me know what you thought in the comments about the Deathwatch preview, what the Deathwatch rules you are hoping to see in the supplement, or any other relics or psychic powers you hope to see in the supplement. And I will be sure to read your comments, and hopefully we can think of some new stratagems that may come into effect. If you can remind me what the stratagems they had before against armies like Tyranids or Orcs or Dark Eldar, that would be great to know, because it would be interesting to see how they've changed compared to these ones against the Eldari and the Necrons. But until next time, I will catch you later, guys.